Welcome Werinda Jumalang Molo Sawubona Hukandet, and a warm welcome to the Induho Knowledge Cast, the podcast where your curiosity meets insightful conversations. Nambuzi Rico Amba, a lekker discussion. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that's crucial for anyone involved in business, especially here in Mingzansi, IAS 24, the international accounting standard that deals with related party disclosures. Now, you might be thinking, ag shame, accounting stuff. This sounds dry like biltong. But hold on. Before you tune out, think of it this way. Imagine you're at a family gathering, the kind where everyone's catching up, sharing stories, and maybe even slipping each other a few favors here and there. In the business world, those favors can sometimes cross the line, especially when money's involved. That's where IAS 24 steps in, like a strict, fair uncle, making sure everything's transparent and above board. So, let's get down to business. What exactly are we talking about when we say related parties according to this IAS 24 thing?
Well, it's not as simple as just your immediate family or Tommies you braai with every weekend. IAS 24 takes a wider view, looking at those relationships where one party has the potential to influence the financial decisions of another. Think of those big corporate families, parent companies and their subsidiaries, joint ventures where different companies team up, and even those tricky associates where the relationship's a bit more arm's length, but there's still a potential for influence.
Okay, so it's not just about blood ties. It's about those relationships where one party might have that extra bit of sway, that inside track that could lead to some questionable dealings. But why all this fuss about disclosing these transactions? Is it just about being nosy? Or is there a deeper reason behind all this financial scrutiny?
Transparency is key in the business world. Investors, regulators, and even the public need to know if a company's financial success is due to genuine hard work, or if they're getting a helping hand from those connected parties. Imagine a company's profits are skyrocketing, but it turns out they're getting sweetheart deals from a supplier owned by the CEO's cousin. That raises some serious questions about fair play, right? IAS 24 ensures that everyone's playing by the same rules, and that those cozy relationships aren't being used to distort the financial playing field.
So it's about ensuring a level playing field, like in a rugby match. No hidden tackles or underhanded tactics. Just good, clean competition based on merit, not connections. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What exactly needs to be revealed in these financial statements? What kind of information are companies required to spill the beans on?
IAS 24 requires companies to provide a detailed account of their dealings with related parties. It's like laying out all the ingredients in your famous bunny chow recipe. You need to list everything. No secret spices hidden away. Firstly, they need to clearly identify those related parties, explaining the nature of their relationship. Is it a parent company, a subsidiary, a key management personnel, or one of those associates we talked about earlier?
So like introducing the players on the field, giving everyone a clear picture of who's who and how they're connected. But it's not just about naming names, right? We need to know what they're up to as well.
Exactly. Companies need to disclose the types of transactions they've had with related parties. Are we talking about sales of goods, like those sizzling Boer Wars rolls flying off the braai stand? Or perhaps it's loans, those lend me a few bucks till payday, situations that can get a bit tricky when family or close business associates are involved, services rendered, like providing security for that big year-end bash, or maybe even guarantees provided, like vouching for a related party's loan application. All of these need to be disclosed along with the amounts involved.
So it's like a financial recipe book, laying out all the ingredients and measurements so everyone can see how that financial dish was prepared. But it's not just about what was bought or sold. It's also about the terms and conditions of those deals, right?
Absolutely. Think of it this way. You're buying a car from a dealership owned by your uncle. Did you pay the same price as everyone else? Or did you get a family discount? Was the financing arranged on favorable terms, with a low interest rate that no one else could get? These details matter because they reveal whether the related party got a better or worse deal than they would from an unrelated party.
So it's about making sure those deals are cooked to perfection, not burnt to a crisp because someone got preferential treatment. But what about those situations where a related party owes money to the company? How does IAS 24 address those potentially risky loans?
That's where those provisions for doubtful debts come in. It's like setting aside a little extra cash just in case that relative's business venture doesn't quite take off as planned. IAS 24 requires companies to be upfront about these provisions, acknowledging the possibility that those related party loans might not be repaid in full. It's a way of protecting investors and ensuring that the company's financial statements reflect a realistic picture of their assets and liabilities.
So it's like a financial safety net, just in case those family ties start to fray a bit. But let's move on to another aspect of IAS 24 that often gets people talking. The disclosure of key management personnel compensation. Why the need to put those executive paychecks under the microscope?
Transparency around what those at the top are earning is crucial for maintaining trust and accountability. Think about it. If a company's struggling to pay its workers a decent wage, but the CEO's raking in millions in bonuses and share options, it raises questions about fairness and whether the company's priorities are in the right place. IAS 24 ensures that those executive salaries and perks are laid bare for everyone to see, allowing investors and the public to judge whether those at the helm are being rewarded appropriately.
So it's like a financial indaba, where everyone gets a say in whether those leading the tribe are being compensated fairly for their efforts. But let's bring it back to Mzansi. How does IAS 24 impact those everyday businesses operating here in South Africa?
For South African businesses, especially those looking to attract investment or expand internationally, compliance with IAS 24 is a must. It shows the world that they're operating transparently, adhering to international standards, and playing by the rules. It's like getting a stamp of approval, a sign that they're a trustworthy and reliable partner in the global business arena.
So it's like a Lecker endorsement, assuring those potential investors and partners that they're dealing with a reputable and trustworthy company. But let's be honest, implementing IAS 24 can't be a walk in the park, especially for smaller businesses with limited resources. Are there any challenges or pitfalls they need to be aware of?
One of the biggest challenges is simply keeping track of all those related party transactions. Sometimes, those connections can be subtle, hidden within complex corporate structures, or obscured by informal agreements. It's like trying to untangle a knot of fishing line. It takes time, patience, and a keen eye for detail. But the effort's worth it, because failing to identify and disclose those related party dealings can land a company in hot water.
They were. It's like navigating a financial minefield. One wrong step and those penalties can explode right in your face. But surely there are resources, some guidance available to help those businesses avoid those pitfalls.
Absolutely. The South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, SA8, is a great resource, providing guidance and training on IAS 24 compliance. There are also numerous accounting firms and consultants who specialize in helping businesses navigate those tricky related party disclosures. It's about seeking expert advice, asking those tough questions, and making sure you're dotting those I's and crossing those T's.
So it's like having a financial Sangoma, a trusted advisor to guide you through those complex rituals and ensure you're appeased those accounting spirits. But let's face it, even with the best guidance, mistakes can happen. What are some common blunders that businesses need to watch out for?
One common mistake is assuming that IAS 24 only applies to those big listed companies. The reality is that any company, regardless of size or structure, can have related party transactions. That small family business selling those Lecker Coke sisters at the local market, if they're getting a special discount on ingredients from a supplier owned by their cousin, that needs to be disclosed.
So, no one's exempt from those accounting scrutiny? Even those small-scale entrepreneurs whipping up those delicious treats? What about the disclosure of those key management personnel compensation? Any specific pitfalls to watch out for in that area?
One common mistake is failing to disclose all the perks and benefits that come with those executive packages. It's not just about the basic salary. It's about those fancy company cars, those generous housing allowances, and those all-expenses-paid trips to international conferences. All of those need to be accounted for and disclosed transparently.
So, it's like shining a light on those executive lifestyles, making sure those perks and privileges aren't hidden away in the financial shadows. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something that's becoming increasingly important in the business world. Integrated reporting. How does IAS 24 fit into this broader concept of reporting on a company's performance beyond just the financials?
Integrated reporting is all about telling a holistic story about a company's value creation. It's about connecting the dots between financial performance, environmental impact, social responsibility, and good governance. And related party transactions and disclosures play a key role in this integrated story.
It's like adding another layer to that company narrative, revealing how those related party dealings might be impacting those non-financial aspects of the business.
Exactly. Think about it. A company might be boasting about its commitment to fair labor practices, but if they're sourcing key components from a related party that has a history of exploiting workers, that raises some serious questions about the authenticity of their ethical claims. So, it's about ensuring that those ethical claims aren't just empty words, but are backed up by transparent and accountable actions. But let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. For those everyday South Africans, those who aren't necessarily accountants or investors, why should they care about IAS 24? How does this seemingly technical standard impact their lives?
At its core, IAS 24 is about promoting fairness and transparency in the business world. It's about leveling the playing field, making sure that everyone's playing by the same rules, and preventing those with insider connections from gaining an unfair advantage.
It's about making sure that those connections and favors don't distort the market and ultimately harm the economy.
Exactly, and that has a ripple effect on everyone. A healthy, transparent business environment creates jobs, stimulates investment, and ultimately contributes to a more prosperous society, IAS 24. By promoting ethical practices and ensuring accountability, plays a vital role in creating that virtuous cycle.
Right.
There. It's like a financial Ubuntu, recognizing that we're all interconnected and that ethical conduct in the business world benefits everyone in the long run. But let's shift gears again and focus on a specific aspect of IAS 24 that's particularly relevant in the South African context: the exemption for government-related entities. Why the special treatment? And what are the implications for transparency and accountability?
Government entities operate in a unique space. They're entrusted with public funds, and their actions are subject to public scrutiny. IAS 24 recognizes this and provides some leeway in terms of disclosures, but it doesn't give them a free pass.
So it's like recognizing that government entities play by a slightly different set of rules, but they're still expected to maintain a high level of transparency and accountability.
Exactly. The key consideration is whether those related party transactions are individually significant, meaning they have the potential to influence the entity's financial position or performance, for example. If a government department awards a lucrative tender to a company owned by a close relative of a senior official, that transaction needs to be disclosed regardless of any exemption.
So it's about making sure that those favors and connections don't undermine the public trust and erode the integrity of government institutions. But let's dive a little deeper into this individually significant concept. What are some other examples of transactions that would trigger those disclosure requirements, even for those government-related entities?
Think of those big-ticket items that often make headlines: multi-million rand contracts for infrastructure projects, procurement deals for essential services, or even those controversial grants and subsidies that sometimes raise eyebrows. Any transaction that could potentially raise questions about fairness, transparency, or value for money needs to be disclosed regardless of any exemption.
So it's about ensuring that those decisions are made in the best interest of the public, not for the benefit of a select few. But let's face it, sometimes those accounting rules can feel a bit overwhelming, especially for those who aren't fluent in the language of finance. Are there any practical tips, some words of wisdom that you would offer to those South African businesses trying to navigate those complex IAS 24 requirements?
Firstly, don't be afraid to ask for help. There are plenty of resources available, from professional accounting bodies like SECA to specialized accounting firms and consultants. They can help you understand those complex rules and tailor those disclosures to your specific circumstances.
So it's like finding a financial guru, someone who can guide you through those complex accounting mantras and ensure you're on the right path.
Exactly. Secondly, embrace technology. There are fantastic software solutions available that can automate many of those manual processes involved in identifying, documenting, and disclosing related party transactions.
So it's like having a financial robot working tirelessly behind the scenes to keep those disclosures accurate and up to date.
Precisely. And finally, remember that IAS 24 is not just about compliance. It's about embracing a culture of transparency and accountability. It's about building trust with your stakeholders, demonstrating that you're operating ethically, and ultimately contributing to a fairer and more sustainable business environment.
So it's not just about ticking those boxes, it's about weaving those ethical principles into the very fabric of your business, making them part of your company's DNA. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something that's becoming increasingly important in the South African context: the role of whistleblowers in exposing those shady related party deals. How can we encourage those brave individuals to speak up and hold those in power accountable?
Whistleblowers play a vital role in exposing corruption and unethical conduct. They're often the ones with inside knowledge, those who see those shady deals happening firsthand. But speaking up can be risky. They could face retaliation, lose their jobs, or even be ostracized. That's why it's so important to create a culture where whistleblowers are protected and supported.
So it's about creating a safe space for those who dare to speak truth to power, ensuring that their voices are heard and their actions are valued.
Exactly. We need to strengthen those legal protections for whistleblowers, establish independent reporting mechanisms, and perhaps even offer financial rewards for those who expose those significant cases of wrongdoing. It's about sending a clear message that we value transparency and accountability, and that those who speak up are doing a service to society.
So it's about creating a financial imbizo, a gathering where everyone has a voice and those who see wrongdoing are empowered to speak out. But let's face it, sometimes those ethical dilemmas can be complex and nuanced. Are there any gray areas, any situations where those related party transactions might be justifiable, even if they raise some eyebrows?
There are certainly situations where those related party transactions can be legitimate and beneficial. For example, imagine a small family business in a rural area that's struggling to access financing from traditional banks. A loan from a family member or a close business associate might be the only way for them to survive and thrive.
So it's like a financial stockvel, a community coming together to support each other in times of need.
Exactly. The key is transparency, even in those seemingly justifiable situations. The company needs to be upfront about the nature of the relationship, the terms of the transaction, and any potential conflicts of interest. It's about demonstrating that the deal was conducted fairly and in the best interests of the company, not just as a personal favor.
So it's about ensuring that those favors don't undermine the integrity of the company's financial reporting or create an uneven playing field. But let's talk about something that's often at the heart of those related party transactions: money. How does IAS 24 address the issue of fair value, ensuring that those deals aren't being used to siphon off funds or artificially inflate profits?
IAS 24 emphasizes the importance of arm's-length transactions, meaning that the related party is getting the same deal they would from an unrelated party. It's about preventing those sweetheart deals, those discounts and favorable terms that distort the market and undermine fair competition.
So it's like making sure that everyone's paying the same price for those Lecker Brewers rolls, regardless of their family connections.
Exactly. If a company can demonstrate that those related party transactions were conducted at arm's length, then there's no reason to raise any red flags. But if those deals seem too good to be true, if they deviate significantly from market norms, then that's a sign that something might be amiss.
So it's about ensuring that those financial transactions are kosher, that they're not being cooked up to benefit a select few at the expense of others. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something that's becoming increasingly important in the investment world: ESG, environmental, social, and governance factors. How does IAS 24 play into this growing trend, particularly in the South African context?
Investors are becoming more and more discerning about where they put their money. They're not just looking at financial returns, they're also considering a company's impact on the environment, its social responsibility, and its corporate governance practices.
So it's like investors are looking for the triple bottom line: profit, people, and planet.
Exactly. And IAS 24, by promoting transparency around related party transactions, can help investors assess a company's ESG performance. Think about it: if a company is claiming to be a champion of environmental sustainability, but they're sourcing their raw materials from a related party that has a history of polluting, that raises some serious red flags.
So it's about peeling back those layers, looking beyond those marketing claims and scrutinizing those related party dealings to see if they align with the company's stated values.
Precisely. IAS 24 helps investors connect the dots, providing those insights into a company's ethical track record and helping them make more informed investment decisions.
So it's like a financial X-ray, revealing those hidden ethical skeletons in the corporate closet. But let's face it, sometimes those accounting standards can feel a bit dry and technical. How can we make IAS 24 more engaging, more relatable, especially for those who aren't necessarily accounting enthusiasts?
That's a great challenge. One approach is to use storytelling to bring those accounting concepts to life. Imagine creating a series of short videos or podcasts that use real-life examples to illustrate the importance of related party disclosures. We could feature interviews with business owners who've successfully navigated those complex regulations, or showcase case studies of companies that have stumbled and faced the consequences of non-compliance.
It's like turning those dry accounting principles into a financial thriller, keeping those audiences on the edge of their seats. But it's not just about entertainment, right? It's about making those concepts accessible, understandable, and ultimately relevant to their lives.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the power of humor. A well-placed joke or a witty analogy can go a long way in demystifying those complex accounting rules and making them more palatable to a wider audience.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between education and entertainment, making sure those audiences are both informed and engaged. But let's bring it back to South Africa. What are some unique opportunities or challenges when it comes to promoting awareness and understanding of IAS 24 in our local context?
South Africa has a vibrant and diverse business landscape ranging from small family-run businesses to large multinational corporations. Reaching all of these stakeholders with a consistent message about IAS 24 requires a multi-pronged approach.
So it's like creating a financial pachecos, blending a variety of ingredients to create a dish that's both flavorful and nutritious. But with so many different stakeholders, it can be tricky to tailor that message to their specific needs and interests.
You're absolutely right. One strategy could be to leverage those existing networks and organizations like business chambers, industry associations, and professional bodies to disseminate information and provide training on IAS 24 compliance. We could also partner with universities and educational institutions to incorporate these concepts into business curricula, ensuring that future generations of business leaders are equipped with the knowledge and skills to navigate those complex regulations.
So it's about planting those financial seeds early, nurturing a culture of transparency and accountability from the ground up. But let's not forget the role of technology in all of this.
Absolutely. Social media platforms, online forums, and even gamification can be powerful tools for reaching a wider audience and making those complex accounting concepts more engaging and accessible.
It's like turning IAS 24 compliance into a financial adventure, a quest for knowledge transparency, and ultimately a more ethical business landscape. But before we get lost in the digital realm, let's bring it back to the human element. What role can individuals play in promoting the principles of IAS 24, even if they're not accountants or business owners?
That's a great question. Every South African has a role to play in promoting a culture of transparency and accountability. It starts with asking those tough questions, whether it's questioning those seemingly too good to be true deals, scrutinizing those financial statements, or holding those in positions of power accountable for their actions.
It's about being an informed consumer, a discerning investor, and ultimately an active citizen who demands integrity and ethical conduct from those who are entrusted with our resources.
Exactly. And let's not forget the power of whistleblowing. If someone suspects wrongdoing, whether it's related to related party transactions or any other unethical practice, they have a moral obligation to speak up and report those concerns.
It's about creating a culture where those who dare to expose those shady dealings are protected and celebrated, not silenced or ostracized.
Absolutely. And by working together, promoting transparency, demanding accountability, and celebrating ethical conduct, we can create a business environment that benefits all South Africans.
So it's not just about complying with IAS 24. It's about building a better, fairer, and more transparent South Africa for everyone. But before we get carried away with those lofty ideals, let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. For those businesses grappling with the practicalities of IAS 24 compliance, what are some key resources or support systems available to help them navigate those complex regulations?
South Africa has a robust accounting and auditing profession with a wealth of expertise and resources to support businesses in their IAS 24 journey. Organizations like the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, SAIT, provide comprehensive guidance training programs and technical updates to keep businesses informed about the latest developments.
So it's like having a financial GPS guiding you through the twists and turns of those complex accounting standards. But sometimes even with a GPS, you need a little extra help.
Absolutely. And that's where those specialized accounting firms and consultants come in. They can provide tailored advice, conduct internal audits, and assist businesses in developing robust systems and controls to ensure compliance with IAS 24.
So it's like having a financial pit crew, a team of experts ready to jump in and keep your business running smoothly. But let's be honest, sometimes those professional fees can be a bit daunting, especially for smaller businesses. Are there any cost-effective strategies for ensuring compliance?
Technology can be a great equalizer. Cloud-based accounting software and data analytics tools can help automate many of those manual processes involved in identifying, documenting, and disclosing related party transactions.
So it's like having a virtual financial assistant working tirelessly behind the scenes to keep those disclosures accurate and up to date. But technology alone isn't a silver bullet, right? It's about how we use those tools and adapt our thinking to keep pace with those technological advancements.
Precisely. And that's where training and upskilling come in. Businesses need to invest in their employees, equipping them with the knowledge and skills to leverage those technological tools effectively and ensure compliance with IAS 24.
So it's about empowering those employees, turning them into financial superheroes who can navigate those complex regulations with confidence and ease. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the future of IAS 24. The business world is constantly evolving, and those accounting standards need to keep pace. What are some of the emerging trends and challenges that might shape the future of related party disclosures?
That's a great question. One trend to watch is the growing emphasis on sustainability reporting as investors, and the public demand more transparency about a company's environmental, social, and governance, ESG performance. The role of related party disclosures in this broader reporting landscape will become even more crucial.
It's like adding another dimension to those financial statements, revealing how those related party dealings might be impacting a company's sustainability goals.
Exactly. Imagine a scenario where a company is promoting its commitment to reducing its carbon footprint, but it turns out they're sourcing a key component from a related party with a poor environmental record. That inconsistency would raise serious questions about the credibility of their sustainability claims.
So it's about connecting the dots, showing how those related party transactions fit into the bigger picture of a company's overall impact on the world. But let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. For those businesses grappling with the practicalities of IAS 24 compliance, what's the one piece of advice, the golden nugget of wisdom you would leave them with?
My advice would be to embrace proactive transparency. IAS 24 isn't about concealing related party transactions. It's about illuminating them, provide clear and concise disclosures that empower investors and the public to make informed decisions. Transparency fosters trust, and trust is fundamental for a thriving and sustainable business environment.
It's not just about following the rules. It's about embodying the spirit of transparency. Make those related party disclosures a point of pride, not a source of anxiety, as we wrap up our deep dive into IAS 24. I want to leave our listeners with a final thought, a challenge to consider as they navigate the intricate world of business and finance. If you had the power to change one thing about how related party transactions are managed, not just in South Africa, but globally, what would it be? What would it take to create a system that is truly transparent and accountable?
That's a thought-provoking question. If I could make one change, it would be to establish a global interconnected database of all related party transactions. Imagine a system where every company, big or small, anywhere in the world, would be required to record their related party dealings in the secure and transparent platform. This database would be accessible to regulators, investors, journalists, and the public, allowing for real-time scrutiny and analysis of these global networks of related party transactions. It would be a game changer, illuminating those hidden deals, exposing conflicts of interest, and ultimately promoting a more equitable and sustainable global economy.
It's a bold vision, a call for radical transparency that could reshape the way we do business as we conclude our deep dive into IAS 24. I want to thank our listeners for joining us on this journey. Remember, knowledge is power, and by understanding and scrutinizing those related party transactions, we can contribute to a brighter, fairer, and more sustainable future for all. That's all from the Indubo Knowledge Cast for today. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep those conversations flowing until next time.